a really deep question. That weekend, like, we didn't sleep, our eyes were burning, and we were like, okay, well, this is like a one-time thing. I ended up like sleeping in my family dog's bed.
Matilda Djerf is a 25-year-old designer from a small town in Sweden with a 3-year young brand that just hit revenue of $35 million and rapidly growing with a high profit margin.
And then in last year we had 80 million.
80, so 8?
Yeah.
I would call it.
Yeah, and then year to date we're at 250 million.
Matilda didn't enjoy school, but started posting pictures during a trip while working at a juice bar and found an audience, especially in Australia and the US.
For me, school was not my thing. I had a lot of like difficulties with friends. I had my little episode of being bullied. So it was not a fun space. So I always wanted to just like graduate. And that's when I was like, okay, so I can either go back to my like job at a juice bar, or I'll try this out, see what happens.
After she was casted in modeling shoots, she didn't like the way the photos were manipulated. So Matilda and her boyfriend Rasmus decided to start their own clothing brand.
When I started doing the modeling jobs, I was just like so shocked. We're clipping in clothes, we're editing photos. Like this brand edited me like 3 sizes smaller, and another brand, you know, they would like shoot my size on me and then they would clip in the clothes so it looked perfect. And then on the website, you couldn't see that. And you were like literally like fooling the customers.
We break down the business of Djerf Avenue, Matilda's best tips in transitioning from creator to multi-million-dollar entrepreneur, and running a business with your partner.
We were so naive. Like, and I think, thank God we were naive. I think if we knew how much work it would be, I think we would have been scared off.
I think we're rolling. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good as well. It's great to be here in the Djerf Avenue office.
Yeah.
Very, very nice.
I feel like a lot has happened since you were here the last time.
A lot has happened and time flies. I think that was like 4 months ago.
That's wild.
But it didn't even look like, don't even think the couch was unpacked.
No, I don't think it was either. We got it really late.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You didn't have a showroom and now it's like way more people, I feel, as well.
Yeah, I think we're like double the amount of people from when you were here.
Wow. How many are there now?
I knew you were going to ask that. And I need to know this. I think we're like 20-ish. 20-ish, yeah, in Sweden. And then we have a team of 6 in New York.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, like, just let me start off with saying that, like, how impressed I am with what you've done. I think it's so cool, and it's completely unique. You, like me, are from Sweden, and you're from a small town.
Yeah.
Kind of like me as well.
Where are you from?
I'm from Småland. Actually, not from a town, but like in
a village?
The wilderness. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, from the forest.
Oh, well, I'm from Borås, and I feel like that's a small town.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe you
smaller.
won that one. Yeah.
I think, you know, you obviously have a very big following, and coming from Sweden, that's not really an easy thing. Like, there are a lot of, you know, creators from Sweden, but you've, especially in the US, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's...
Yeah, US is my biggest, like percentage-wise. I have the most followers from the US.
Yeah. And I think I can see that, like, in your channels, it's really you. Like, your personality really shines through. And yesterday I saw there was, like, some fan art creation, like, crazy skills from people. Like,
insane.
how do they do that?
I have no idea. I'm so impressed.
Yeah.
Like, whenever I get tagged and stuff like that, I'm just like, wow.
Somebody's been sitting with a brush and actually doing it.
We had a girl who painted Rufus, my dog.
Who's somewhere here. Yeah.
Actually, he's sleeping behind me. He'll probably be here. And it was such a like cool, like it was a cartoon kind of vibe thing. So we're actually printing that on a t-shirt. So she just like tagged us and then we hired her and it's really cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. And also I've seen, like, you know, there are a lot of videos about like outfit recreations and like, yeah, it's wild.
It is wild.
And like super high engagement. So how did that start? Like, what was your first, you know, idea or piece of content that came about for this?
Well, I think like the first time I traveled to the Caribbean with my boyfriend, who is now the CEO of Djerf Avenue. We traveled to the Caribbean.
Shout out Raz.
Yes, shout out to Rasmus.
Raz.
Yes. And it's not Rufus, it's Rasmus. Everybody gets those two mixed up. So we just traveled and I started a blog for my family and friends. And we like shot bikini looks and just kind of like yeah, just posted it. And I got 3,000 followers, and I was like, whoa, like
On Instagram?
yes. And I was just like, this is major. This is insane. Because back then, I feel like it was like 2016, 3,000 were a lot. I mean, nowadays it's like easier maybe to get it. And then we kept on traveling, and then eventually I hit 100,000. And that's when I was like, whoa.
Eventually, like, was that?
I think it was like maybe a year from when we were in the Caribbean and then we were in Australia. Yeah, it was a year between. And it just kind of like, I never planned on working with Instagram, but I've always loved fashion. I've always loved photography. I had a blog when I was younger, and I joined this like photography challenge that I won. It was a Twilight themed challenge, and I won those kind of like things that reflect light.
Yeah.
I should know what it's called.
Dreamcatcher?
No, like camera reflected.
I think we have one of those here, but I'm not sure.
Not a dream catcher. So I've always loved photography. I always loved being creative. And I've never really liked having a boss over me. So I kind of feel like I manifested it in some way, but back then I didn't know what manifesting was. So I probably didn't, but yeah.
How many cameras did you bring on that trip?
Just one.
Just one?
Yeah. Just one little it was like a digital, just like a random camera. And then in Australia I brought two, a digital and a film.
So Australia and the Caribbean.
Yeah, so we traveled to the Caribbean first, then we went back to Sweden, then we went to Bali and Australia for 6 months, and then we went back to Sweden again. And that's when I was like, okay, so I can either go back to my job at a juice bar, or I'll try this out, see what happens, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, I'll just get a new job.
And those first picture, was that on the beach or was it during the traveling?
It was during the traveling. So it was bikini photos. So obviously when I went back to Sweden, I was like, is anybody going to want to see my outfit photos? Is this going to be popular? Will people enjoy it? And thankfully they did. So it worked out. But I was honestly very nervous because I felt like the following that I had gained was from traveling and then moving back to Borås, which is a really small town.
In January.
Yeah, it's not inspiring. So...
And if we rewind there, the tape a bit, you're from Borås, which is how many people?
I should know that. I have no clue.
I actually looked this up.
Oh,
I think it's
did?
about 70, 80,000.
Yeah, that could be right.
But it's crazy. It seems to be a place that just has something in the water.
Yeah.
For breeding entrepreneurs building billion-dollar companies.
Yeah, it's weird because I think growing up, I never really thought about Borås that way, but now that I'm in it, I see that there's so many creative entrepreneurs from Borås. But I guess because it is way back when it was a fashion, a textile city, village, I don't know what you want to call it. So I guess that plays into it probably.
Yeah, because there are a lot of
brands and a lot of
brands It's really cool. And so you grew up there in Borås.
Yeah, I lived there my entire life, except for the 2.5 years that I lived in Monterey, California. So that was 2006 to 2008.
When you were in the US?
Yeah, so elementary school in the US.
2.5 years?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's why your English is so good.
Yes.
Oh, got it.
When I moved there, I didn't know how to say I didn't know how to speak English. And my mom could be with me for 20 minutes the first day of school. So I just bawled my eyes out. I cried. It was awful. But then I think it took me 2 weeks. And I started getting the basics down. Because when you're at that age, you just pick it up so quickly.
2006. So how old were you then?
That's also a good question. I think I was 8 to 11, 9 to 12. Yeah. Somewhere there.
Why did you move to the US?
My dad was in the military. So he's been in the military up until 2012.
The Swedish military?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a school called Naval Postgraduate School there that he worked at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he brought the whole family for 3 years, and then you came back to Sweden.
Yeah, came back to Sweden, went to high school, and then after high school. And I think also being in the US, living there, even though it was just 2 years, it really opened my eyes. And it was very coming back to Borås. I felt this is too small for me. I don't see myself living here. So I think ever since then, I've known that I want to get out of here.
Well, what's your relationship to the US?
I mean, I love it. And it's probably every country, it has its, ups and downs and, perks and negatives, but I do enjoy it a lot.
And what was your upbringing like? What was it to go to school in Sweden and in the US?
For me, school was not my thing. I had a lot of like difficulties with friends. I had my little episode of being bullied. So it was not a fun space. So I always wanted to just like graduate. I always just wanted to get out of school. But I mean, I come from a very safe family and a very good like household, but just school was not for me at all. So I was very happy when I graduated. Very happy.
Do you think those challenges in your early days had something to do with, you know, the success that would happen later in life? Have you ever thought about that?
I have, and I think that partly yes, because it did make me really strong in myself, and I've always known that. Like, I've always known what I want to do. I've always known my values, like my self-worth, and I think that has really pushed me to, like, even dare to, like, start my own business and dare to go my own way. Because coming from a small town, you know, as soon as you do something that kind of stands out, there will always be that small town energy.
And when you go to the US, for instance, and really coming out of your comfort zone, especially at an early age, I think you really open up your world kind of to think in new ways and getting new perspectives. Was it like that for you as well? Yeah,
definitely. And I mean, I was so young, so some people will be like, what do you mean? Like, you can't have had that, like, eye-opening experience.
Because you were 9?
Yeah. But I think it's, like, I'm such an old soul in general, so I think it really did do something to me, and it just, like, you know, made our family so tight. It really showed me that, you know, even if it does get a bit uncomfortable and you try new things that are a bit scary, like, it does work out. So I think it has really, you know, like, taught me a lot of things.
Kind of like this show, like, it's a very scrappy... way we're doing it. I don't know if you're seeing the books here, but I love it.
It's very heavy on my stomach.
Yeah. Just blink twice if you need to escape. Your shift from the juice bar to social media happened while you were traveling.
Yeah.
And then you came back, and then was it kind of like crossroad there to like try it out?
Yeah, it was definitely like a cliche, but like make it or break it moment. I was like, I can't try this out. I know that I don't like having like a boss over me, and I felt like I never really enjoyed that because I would always come up with these solutions, but all of my bosses would be very traditional, and I didn't like that. So I think it was just like, let's try it out. The worst thing that could happen is that it doesn't work out, and then I go back to working at a juice bar or selling fish like I did previously to the juice bar.
Selling what?
Fish.
To the juice bar?
No, that was the job I had before. I sold fish in like supermarkets. Like I filleted the fish.
Oh, in the like
Ica Maxi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the fish counter.
Yeah. That's where I hung out during my high school years.
I've always wondered about that. Is like a lot to learn before you actually...
It is.
Because I don't know how to... What do you say? Like...
Fillet the fish. I know. And the thing is, when I had the interview, she obviously asked me, oh, like, do you like fish? You know, what's your relationship with fish?
Key question.
And I was like, well, you know, my dad has always, you know, he's always loved fishing. Like, I've gone out with him at our summer house. And then literally 10 minutes before my first day at the job, I YouTubed how to fillet a fish. I think it was like a mackerel. What's that?
Yeah, mackerel.
A mackerel, yeah. How to fillet a mackerel. And the first thing I had to do was fillet a mackerel. And I did, because I had YouTubed it, so I knew how to do it. And the guy there, he was so impressed. He told me, you're the first like new employee to ever like to know how to do this. Like, yes.
Wow.
Thank you,
Hired
YouTube.
on the spot. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so that was the crossroads. And then so was that like trying it out full time then already from the beginning kind of?
Yeah, well, when I traveled and I posted photos, I kind of took like brand partnerships and I did some modeling jobs just to be able to like fund the trip. So when I came back to Sweden, it felt more like a full-time job. But it wasn't until like 2018 that it felt like a real full-time job. Before that, it was more like I took some jobs, I could cover my rent, but also like rent in Borås is not that high. So I made it, like it worked, but it's not until like 2018 that it felt like, oh, this is actually a real job. Like I can invoice brands. Like I had my own like, you know, company and stuff like that, like social media influencer company.
How did you know what to do to grow? And
this will probably sound a little cliche, but I've never really cared about the numbers on my channels. Like I've done it out of pure passion because I do love it. And it's a way for me to connect with other people, which I've always enjoyed. So I didn't really care about like the analytics or numbers of it, but it was more so learning, you know, how to build a relationship with brands, how to make the content perform well when it is brand partnerships. Because if you get hired by a brand, obviously you want to live up to the money you're getting paid and, you know, what they're giving to you. So I think it was more that kind of learning thing, and also, you know, like invoicing and all of that. But as for like how to grow, I've never really given much thought to it. I've just kind of done my own thing and seen if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, then that person probably shouldn't follow me.
And did you do any like mistakes there in the beginning when you got started? And I guess it's such a new world compared to, you know, going to school or having a traditional job. I
mean, I feel like the mistakes would probably be taking on jobs for free. Like nowadays, I feel like it's so good because brands are paying like micro influencers. Like when I started, it's not even that many years ago, like you weren't getting paid, which is crazy because you're giving so much to the brand. You're giving them sales, you're giving them exposure, and you're just not getting paid for it. I wish I would have known my worth, and I wish I would have, you know.
And it's still like that, right? Like it's still very...
It is like that still. It's getting better, but there is still that.
It's actually, I know a company, and one of my friends invested in it. It's called FYPM. It's FY Pay Me. And it's started by an influencer who was really sick and tired of not getting paid in like products. And, you know, because it's like any other media, really. So why, you know, it's more of a cultural thing that you think you
I
can
think
do that
so. Exactly. And because it is such a new business and a new industry, like I think that people just, I would like to think that people just didn't really know what to pay or like the worth or anything. But I mean, at the end of the day, it is still a job and it should be taken so seriously. And I mean, all of these like micro influencers, no matter the amount of followers, you expose the brand to a lot of people. And I always say, like, even if you only have like 500 people, you're still an influencer because you're influencing those 500 people that follow you.
And for you, it's been, I mean, compared to many others, I guess especially in Europe, you've had a very international audience. Is that primarily the US, or what does it look like?
I think it's like, when I started out, it was a lot of Australians, and I would say that's because I was in Australia when I started posting. So it took some time.
Why would they, how would they know?
I don't know. Well, I guess maybe in Australia because I was working with like Australian brands.
Okay, makes sense.
But so many people thought I was Australian. It took them like, it was like a long time that people thought I was Australian. But now it's like US, UK, I think like France. I think Australia is still like up there. But it is, I think Sweden is like maybe number 4 on my like, you know, top 5 list on Instagram.
And is that because of like working with brands from those countries?
I wish I had a good answer because I don't really know why either. A lot of people ask me this, why do you have so many, you know, followers from the US if you're from Sweden? And I don't really know. I guess, well, partly because I speak English on my channel. It's a lot of Swedish
You've
creators.
always done that?
I've always done that.
Okay, yeah.
I think that's because when I traveled, I met new people and they didn't understand Swedish. So I wanted to, you know, update my friends in English so they understood.
In your personal life, have you been like very involved in like the influencer, you know, clique or social media like that? Or have you?
It hasn't really, I don't know. I've never really felt drawn to it.
Yeah.
I liked being outside of it.
Yeah. And
I feel like you are more in the crowds than I am.
Really?
But you're a social butterfly. I'm a shy, introverted butterfly, I think.
Really?
I always say, like,
I don't get that feeling.
If I'm in a safe space, so now I feel safe, then I'm an extrovert, like then I'm like an open book. But if I'm like a big party or something where I don't know anyone and it's very like cliquey, that's when I get a little shy.
Yeah. On your channels, you've spoken out about your eating disorder.
Yeah.
Why is that? And how did you think before doing that? I guess that was like a decision you made.
Yeah. Well, I think sometime when I did start gaining like a following, I realized that what I'm saying, what I'm putting out is actually being heard by tons of people. And I'm actually like, I can reach out to even one person. So I've always said that if me speaking about difficulties that I've gone through helps one person, I think it's worth it. And I also think that when I had my eating disorder, I only had Tumblr. That's when Tumblr was really huge. Yeah. And it was so toxic. And I wish that I had somebody to look up to and somebody to connect with that had gone through the same thing.
It was so unregulated. Like,
it's insane.
Yeah, it's like there were no adults on that platform.
It was wild. I don't know how they even kept it going for that many years. Yeah. Like, insane. That's the good thing about Instagram. I will say that they do have some sort of like regulations and they can, you know, take accounts down if it's super triggering and stuff, but it's still not good. But Tumblr was wild.
And you think, would that have helped you back then if you would see somebody, you know, talking about it?
I think so. I think so. I always kind of feel like I want to be the person that I needed when I went through my eating disorder. That's kind of why I've spoken about it. And also because it is a thing that so many people go through, but you feel so alone when you're in it. So I just kind of want it to be a safe space for people.
Where do you think the social media game is heading now? There's been so much happening, I feel, especially in the last year. Complaints about Instagram turning into new TikTok.
Yeah.
You know, I saw like, you know, Kylie Jenner was giving them fire for trying to be something else, and like it's been a big revolt. What do you, who's been in this like a lot, especially the last 6-7 years, where do you see this heading? Do you think it's like, is the app dying? Are there others coming up, or how are you thinking about it?
Honestly, maybe I am naive to say that I think Instagram is here to stay, because I mean, we've had big changes. Like when Stories was introduced, people are like, what is this? Like, don't be a new Snapchat. And then it worked out. I will say though, I do think it's sad because I myself love photos. I love videos as well, but I love photos. And I feel like I get more inspired looking at photos. I wish that, you know, the Instagram feed wasn't filled with reels. And I also think that a platform doesn't need to have everything, because people, they want it to be simple. Me and my friend were discussing about this, and we said that Instagram is a place for everybody. Like, it's so easy for just like a normal person to upload. While TikTok, like, even if it's easy, you still need knowledge within like videos and editing. Like, it is hard for the normal person. Like, I don't see my mom posting a video on TikTok because it requires so much, but on Instagram, it's so easy. So I feel like I don't think Instagram is dying out. I just think we need to get used to the new way that Instagram is and kind of like embrace it. But I just think in general, people love the realness and the rawness. And I think that's what will be like becoming more and more popular.
Which one? Like the TikTok?
No, just like in general, like being more like authentic and being more scaled back. So like not a specific platform, just the way of like producing material. I feel like the overproduced material, like it doesn't do much anymore. I really think that everybody's getting so much better at just like posting in the moment, but it can get even better. I feel like the rawness is what the world likes right now.
Yeah, everybody's becoming a creator. Even my dad has an Instagram account that I found out.
Really? You didn't know he had it?
No, he said like, yeah, I followed you. I was like, okay.
What does he do on his Instagram account? Just photos of him living his life?
No, just following me and my sister.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, how old is he?
He's turning 70.
Oh, you made him sound really old. 70 is not that old.
No, it's not.
My mom has I think she has 20,000 followers on Instagram.
20,000?
Yes.
What is she doing?
She's a socialsekreterare, a social worker. She just loves photos. She's always loved fashion. So she just shares photos and people love it.
Amazing.
She has pink hair.
Oh.
I think that's a secret to it. She's so cool. But that's what I mean. I feel like everybody's a creator in some aspect, and I think that's the fun part.
Yeah, it really is. It totally changes the world. Like everybody is able to put out something there. It creates such rabbit holes. Like the other day I was looking at one guy on YouTube, and it's huge on TikTok. He calls himself the Mink Man, and he has a mink.
That scares me.
He has a mink that he brings to, they clean out farms or whatever from rats. So he brings his mink and then dogs.
And he records it,
and he records everything, and he's had millions of followers from doing that. I think it's like this weird satisfaction thing that people are cleaning out pools and
with a mink.
Yeah.
I need to watch that.
But it basically means the people who understand this really well are the ones who are going to be not only the next big business leaders, but also the president in 10 years, I think.
Yeah.
So you did this for a few years, and then you got to think about starting your own company.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, I did some design collaborations with other brands. I did it with 2 Australian brands and then 1 Swedish brand. And doing that, especially with the Swedish brand, I felt like I brought so much to the table, and I had so much insight that I felt like I was giving them so much and not really getting that much in return. And also I wanted to decide where the items were produced, but I couldn't, like I wasn't allowed to. I wanted to decide on what models to use, you know, how to shoot the photos, retouching and stuff like that. But I was just never allowed to. That in combination, and they always sold out those collections. And then also I did some like modeling gigs. And when I started doing the modeling jobs, I was just like so shocked. I was like, is this the actual world? Like, we're clipping in clothes, we're editing photos. Like, this brand edited me like 3 sizes smaller, and another brand, you know, they would like shoot my size on me, and then they would clip in the clothes so it looked perfect. And then on the website, you couldn't see that, and you were like literally like fooling the customers. And I just questioned it. It was so crazy to me, and I just thought, but what you're showing online is not what the customer is getting when they're ordering the item. So that's when me and my boyfriend Rasmus, we started talking, and we said, let's try it out and do it our own way and do it 100% right, like the way we want to do it. And we just did it with no business plan or anything. So could have gone crazy. But
what was the first thing you did?
The first thing we knew was that we wanted to produce in Portugal. But I think the first thing we did was, like, oddly enough, like create a website. We're like, we found this agency in our hometown to create the website. So that's the first thing we did before even like sampling clothes. We just created the website.
Why did you want to produce the clothes in Portugal?
We wanted to produce it in Europe to keep it close to us. Like, we can, you know, ship it with a truck. So the truck takes like a week. So for that reason, not having to, you know, ship it by boat or airplane. And then also for the craftsmanship, they're so good at what they do there. The quality is so amazing. Do we
even produce clothes in Sweden anymore?
You know, we've tried to find factories in Sweden. A lot of the factories, it's very, very expensive. Yeah. And then, like, it's so expensive that customers, at least for Djerf Avenue, they wouldn't pay that price. Yeah. And then also, like, quantity-wise, a lot of factories in Sweden, they can't produce more than, you know, maybe like 100 or something. But we're trying to find a good factory in Sweden. There are some, but not many.
No. It's like micro batching almost.
Yeah. Yeah. We've done a remade project with a kind of more like a studio in my hometown. So they like we had a production fault with our pants, and they made it into bags. But we're hoping that they can up the capacity so we can work more with them. It would be really fun.
But the step from being in collabs with brands and working together with a brand towards starting your own company is in a way really big step. Like, you got the supply chain, financing, HR, everything. Like, Did you know? Did you know that when you got started?
No, we were so naive. Like, and I thank God we were naive. I think if we knew how much work it would be, I think we would have been scared off, because there's so many things people don't talk about, you know, when running your own business. Like, there's so many aspects to it, so many layers. So we were very naive, no prior experience, but a lot of passion and a lot of will. So we made it work. But no, not at all.
So was it like the classic garage story where you're in the garage packing yourself?
Yeah, well, we didn't have a garage, but we found like these like empty locations, these like empty kind of like warehouse locations in Borås that we could rent for like a weekend. So we just packed from there, and then it sold out, and then we put all of the boxes with like the kind of like the extra items that didn't sell in my mom and dad's apartment for months, and it looked like awful for them.
Boxes everywhere in their apartment.
Yeah, so my old room was just like boxes everywhere. And then because we launched our first collection December 6th, and like I would say like 80%, 90% of it sold out, and then the rest of the items we put in my mom and dad's apartment, and then we had like 1 or 2 orders a day. So my mom and dad would pack it, and then that's how we would go. And then we had a restock, and we would find a new location to rent for like 3 days, and then we'd go back to mom and dad's apartment. And then eventually we rented an office here in Stockholm, and we had a like warehouse here in Stockholm, which was a very, very expensive warehouse to have in Stockholm. Yeah. But that's what we had to do.
And okay, so when you got started, it was you and Rasmus, aka. So when that happened, you kind of set the designs yourself. Like how did you even know what to design? What was your taste of it? What did you want to produce? Like, how did you think about it?
Well, I mean, I was really selfish. The first collection was just like out of a selfish idea, because I wanted to produce items that I was missing in my closet. So that's what I did. And then we had my brother's girlfriend, Agnes, who was our very first hire. She's head of production here. We would bribe her with tea and like fika, like a cinnamon bun, and be like, Agnes, teach us everything about like production, sampling, like how does it work? So she would help us like at like 2 hours, like from 5 to 7 after her work, and help us figure it all out just so we kind of knew, because I didn't even know what like a production sample meant. Like I didn't know what a size set was.
Yeah.
Like I had no idea about anything. So she kind of like guided us a little bit, which was very, very good.
So when I guess you were flying down to Portugal then, like meeting with these factories and like.
Well, the crazy thing was in the beginning, we just had like FaceTime calls. Because the year that we started Djerf Avenue, I needed to be able to finance it. So I took every single modeling job I could just to be able to finance it. So we were in Portugal when we found the factory that we wanted to work with.
Oh, you were in Portugal then?
Yeah, okay. But not in Porto. I was in Lisbon. But that's when I had emailed them and I reached out to a lot of different factories and agencies, but nobody replied because they were like, who are you? Why would we want to work with you? But then this one agency that we still work with today replied, which I'm very grateful for. They're the first ones to like really believe in our idea, which was really cool.
When visiting a new country or city, I find that food is at the heart of almost all cultures. But finding the real gems can usually be a challenge, and it can be hard to know where to go for recommendations. A new benefit as an American Express Platinum member is their dining experience, and it's one with a lot of value if you like trying new restaurants like me. I'm a member in Sweden, which gets you a 2-course dinner for 2 people 3 times per year at selected restaurants. And what I especially like is that it also gives me recommendations to try out new curated restaurants. And also when traveling, you get your money back on the restaurant bill up to a certain level per year. So if you want to read more about how the dining experience works, check out the Platinum card in the description or on the American Express website. And specific dining terms and conditions apply.
How did you know? I mean, when you're visiting a factory, for instance, and had you even been in a textile like clothing factory before that? Like,
no.
How do you know what's right? What should you look at?
I mean, honestly, I'm so grateful for Agnes, our head of production. Yeah. So like when we got our first sample, I obviously could only see from like a customer's point of view, but she could really look at like the detailing, like the stitching, and she would tell me like, Matilda, this is not good, this is good. So truly like the first collection, I owe so much to Agnes helping us out, because otherwise the quality might not have been as good as it was. So, I mean, she's been everything in the beginning. That was really, really helpful. Oh. But then also like I've had so many clothes myself, so I kind of knew when it felt right and when it felt wrong, and like what kind of quality we needed, what kind of materials. So it worked out.
When you make clothes, you do it in kind of like patterns, right? It's kind of like, if you've never been in the process, it really looks weird. When you see how
pattern making is wild. Thankfully, the first agency we worked with, they could help us do the pattern making. Because otherwise, it's very common to hire a pattern maker in-house, and we don't have that to date either. So we, that's kind of like we get other people to do it for us, which has been good. Maybe that's a hire in the future.
And is that first collection, is that like the core collection?
Yes, there are basically, I think it's only like 2 items from the first collection that are not in the core collection that we only did for the first launch. All of the other items are part of our core collection today, which I'm really, really proud of. So
really good timing there, 6th of December, 3 weeks before the holidays.
Yeah, and then the world shut down.
So this was in the end of 2019.
Yeah.
Wow. It's not been that long.
No. And it's crazy. This is like our first year that we've had Djerf Avenue, and it hasn't been the pandemic. Yeah. So, I mean, we've only ever really been active during the pandemic. So I feel like we're so used to all of the problems now because the pandemic really put a strain on like the entire supply chain. Yeah. So I feel like it could only get better, but this year is also crazy, with everything going on in the world. So.
Like delay, yeah, exactly.
Delays, increased prices and delays, and it's wild.
And it's been then a little over 2 years, 2.5 years.
Yeah, we're going into 3 years in December.
And it's been wildly successful. Like in the first year, you had a revenue like over $2 million.
Yes,
around $2 million, right?
Yeah. Well, the first year, it's because we launched in December. So it's always like that year, like 2019, it's like, does it count? But like 2020, we had, around me converting this in my
Yeah.
head. And then last year we had,
It's gone up now.
Yeah.
But about 1 to 10.
yeah. And then in last year we had, so if I say it in Swedish, maybe you can convert it for me.
Yeah.
80 million.
80. So 8.
Yeah.
I would call it 8.
Yeah. And then year to date, we're at 250 million.
Sick.
Yeah.
Not dollars.
Yes, sick.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And we're a little over half. So
Yeah.
you're crushing it. You're already going to double.
Yeah. We have already doubled.
Wow. And you quadrupled the first year.
Yeah.
And this is like,
I'm glad we're not math freaks. We're not working with math.
who knows where it's going to end?
No, maybe I'm glad I'm not working with math. You're good at it.
I don't even know if I said that right.
I don't know either.
But it's crazy. And this is kind of bootstrapped. Like you
Yeah.
finance this yourself.
Yeah.
That's unheard of. It's
Yeah.
crazy and it's profitable. It's like a 30%
Yeah.
profit margin.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think this is going to be like, are you even thinking about the future? Like
I mean, we've been so like just head down, like solving problems.
yeah, you
Literally
told me
every
you've
single
been
day.
here all summer. Like,
Yeah,
I was like, how was your summer?
I was like, what do you mean summer? I mean, it's we haven't really ever had like a 3-year plan. We're kind of like working on it now just to have something to, look at and kind of like work towards. But it's been very much just like problem solving and like being head on, being where we are right now. But I mean, even in our wildest dream, we never thought we would be where we are today. Never.
Wow, crazy. I think, one of the things that many people I talk to and that I've also found myself is like the prio in a lot of ways when you're growing is to hire people, and especially the right people. How do you make sure to find the best people for the team? What do you really look for?
Well, even just like with hiring, we've always hired people when it's already like too late. Like we're already, understaffed. But we're always looking. I always say like there's one kind of person who can work in a company like ours, and in general in like startups, you need to like to work. And you need to be a problem solver, and you need to like to take your own initiatives. If you're a person that, needs somebody to tell you this is what you should do every hour of the day, you're not suitable to work here. And we always say that when we interview people, because I always want to, all cards on the table. I don't want to like paint these false, dreams for people that, it's so easy to work. Like working for a startup in a new company, it is a lot of work, and you need to like it. I mean, I love working here, obviously. And I feel like we're such a great team of people who really like have the same passion for the brand and who see the vision and who understand what we want to do with Djerf Avenue. So we always try to find that kind of person who likes to get down and dirty, but who also, has a lot of passion. I always say that like passion is the best personality trait a person, or a quality a person can have.
And I think that's what makes people really successful. Like if you don't really love what you do, it's gonna be really tough.
Exactly. 100%.
And you said, so now we're in Stockholm. Now we're in if I didn't say that before, by the way, we're in the really cool Djerf Avenue office here.
Yeah.
And this is the HQ.
Yeah. I'm not allowed to say HQ. Rasmus doesn't like it. He's like, Matilda. My mom loves saying
You can say
Djerf
that if you
Avenue
have two
HQ.
offices, I guess.
That's true. That's true. Is it not, Ras?
Where's the other one? Do you have other people working?
Well, we have a team in New York, but they don't have an office yet because the pandemic. They've enjoyed working. I mean, we hired them this year, and they've enjoyed working from home because it is, a long commute for them. But we want to find at least like a co-working space so they can work together like a couple of days a week.
And the US is the biggest market?
Yeah.
That's cool. And is that also a big focus, like going forward?
Yes. So we're opening up our US warehouse literally like next week if everything goes as planned. Cool. It's been a little turbulent, but I think it's clear skies now. So hopefully next week, which is really, really exciting.
And I saw you were in LA this summer for a pop-up and a collab.
Yeah, our first ever pop-up.
How did that go?
Amazing. I was like beaming the entire weekend. It was the best. And it was so cool to see like customers like, oh my God, like Anastasia, that's you. Like I've seen you in our clothes for 3 years. Like I see you in person now. That's wild. I think you've seen who? Anastasia, like one of our customers.
Oh, okay. How did you
like,
see her for 3 years?
Because she's tagged our photos.
Oh,
yes. And then I saw her
course.
in real life. And it's like, because it's so
cool.
crazy to see people that you like, I know their names. I've seen them in so many of our items. And then they're like in front of me in real life. It's so rewarding. It's so special. I love the pop-up.
Yeah.
That was the best time.
How long did you run for?
3 days, just a midsummer weekend.
Okay. What have you learned so far? Like now it's been like 2.5 years. What's been like one of the, bigger learnings running a company from scratch to, now it's 20 people, $8 million revenue, like, well, way more this year probably. What are things that, before you go to bed, like, wow, I learned this and I shouldn't have done that?
I think there's so many things that you learn, problem solving, and also how to like not take every single problem too seriously. Like you also have to have a perspective on it and kind of like you always want to solve it, but don't get too caught up in it because it's so easy to get carried away with a problem. And also like handling like employees, handling a team. When I started Djerf Avenue, I never heard of people saying how challenging and how time consuming and also how rewarding it is to have a team of people working for your brand.
What would you have said to Matilda the day she started Djerf Avenue?
You have a wild ride in front of you. You're going to work so much. I mean, that weekend, like, we didn't sleep. Our eyes were burning. And we were like, okay, well, this is like a one-time thing. I would have told her, no, this is
What weekend?
The first, like, launch weekend,
God.
December 6th. That was a wild weekend. I ended up, like, sleeping in my family dog's bed.
Dog's bed.
It's not good.
What was... were there any things that happened in those early days when you were gonna start selling or?
Well, I mean, we had a big error on our website the day we went live. So when customers entered their like address and stuff, a phone number wasn't like you didn't have to enter the phone number.
It was optional.
Yeah, which was a big mistake because DHL couldn't do like the labels didn't automatically go into DHL. So we had to write every single DHL label manually. So we had team, like we've told our friends and family like come and help us pack. And we were all just waiting by the printer and the computer waiting for like one label to come out. That was honestly awful. That's like.
Did you write your own phone number on every or how did you? Or did you?
I think we probably did. Yeah. I'm like, I don't even want to. Maybe that's why all of our customers have Rasmus' phone number.
2,000 DHL drivers calling you.
Yeah, it was crazy. That was a really big mistake, but also like an honest mistake because we didn't have any prior experience at all. So
wow. So you packed it all yourself and your family came there to help?
Yeah, we packed it all ourselves up until like October 2020. So it's like a year.
Okay. And if you would zoom out and be a customer to Djerf Avenue, how do you see it different from where you yourself shopped before?
Well, at least I hope that people feel that it's a really safe space to online shop. Because it is a little scary to shop clothing online, like with sizing and, you see one person modeling the clothes that doesn't look like you. And I really want Djerf Avenue to be a safe space. I want our customers to feel seen and represented on the website. And that's always what we're working towards. And we're not 100% there yet, but we're on a good road to where we want to be.
And you're making drops as well. You have a pretty...
Yeah. So we have our core collection, which is supposed to be in stock at all times. We haven't succeeded with that. We've been sold out of our like best sellers, like our Breezy shirt, our favorite pants, our Forever blazer, a longer period of time, which is it's a good problem to have because they're selling, but it would have been nice to always have it in stock, which is our goal. But then on top of that, we have more like exclusive drops of items. Some items we produce and we still produce small quantities, but some drops have more colors. Some are just like one piece. I think our biggest drop was like our dream drop, which had I think it was like one dress in 3 colors and then one top in 2 colors. So we've introduced more new styles this year than we have before, but a lot of new drops are also like existing styles in a new material or in a new color.
And you
a complicated answer.
No, I think I get it. Do you involve the community in developing these new drops a lot, or how does that work?
I mean, we try to. For a dream drop, we asked, which color would do you want us to bring out? They got to vote, or, you know, which color do you want us to bring back? We've worked like that a lot of different times. And then I love posting little like Easter eggs on my own channel. Like today I posted a photo of me wearing a sweatshirt that it's just a sample, and then I kind of like see if people, you know, pick it up, if they like it, and then usually we go about like this sweater, for example, a lot of people loved it, then maybe we'll actually like put it into production.
Do you think there's been a secret sauce behind the success so far?
I mean, is it cliche to say that it's passion and like authenticity? I think that's what people love about Djerf Avenue. That's at least what I'm really, really proud of, that we're so passionate and that everything we do it with our customers in mind, and everything is extremely genuine. Like we never do anything just for the sake of doing it.
And you have your customers as models?
Yes.
Right,
Yeah, since day one, we've only used our customers as models.
I think it really shines through. Like, I think you can really feel it. The first time we were talking, I could really feel it when you were, you know, we were discussing sustainability and like, we were talking about that. It's you can't even start a brand today without having that in your like core part of the business, right?
Exactly.
So,
And I also feel like if you start a brand 2022, you should also have representation as a core part of your business, like no questions. For me, it's so important that our brand reflects what the world looks like. And like I said, we're not there yet, but we're working towards it. And I think it should just be given.
And so you started this together with Rasmus.
Yeah.
What is it like to run a business with your life partner as well?
It's really, really cool. I know everybody, I speak to so many people and everyone's like, how do you guys do it? Don't you get tired of each other? And I'm always like, working towards the same goal and like building something together. Like there's something so magical and powerful about that just like gives me like goosebumps. It's truly so good. And nowadays, like we're both so busy. I barely ever see him. Like you can ask Rebecca, my right hand, like I am like, Rasmus, where are you? And he just like never has time to talk to me. So nowadays it's pretty easy. And
what are your roles in the company? How are you divided it?
So Rasmus is the CEO. So he, you know, develops the business. He's so good with what he does. Like a part of the reason why Djerf Avenue is so profitable and why we're selling so much is because of him. Like he's such a big reason for that. And then I'm the creative. We usually call me Mama Djerf because I do literally everything. Like I'm part of the social media team. I help out with like the creative stuff on the website. I design everything. I take a lot of photos myself for our pages and our website. So I do a little bit of everything. But everything that has something with like the creative aspect to it, that's where you'll find me.
Rasmus is amazing. I saw he was talking at an event yesterday with a friend of mine, Adeline, the CEO of Kaya.
Yeah. I wasn't there.
You weren't?
No, that's a really bad girlfriend and business partner.
You weren't there to cheer in the audience? No.
But he did tell me they didn't really care if I was there or not. Okay. So,
what advice do you have to somebody who's considering doing exactly that? Like, you know, they're considering starting a business with their life partner. It can be amazing, but do you also have advice on like do's and don'ts on the way?
Well, I would say like, so when we started it out and like with the influencer side of it, we didn't have clear roles. And that was really challenging. I think that if you have super clear roles within the business, it does make it a lot easier. And also like communicating with each other. And then most importantly, we're not good at this. But being able to like turn the work off when you get home and be like no work here. I think that's really, really important.
Maybe in time you will get better at that.
I hope so.
Yeah. And somebody asked me, you have to talk with Matilda about her hair and the TikTok trends. What tell me about this?
I don't know. It's weird. So my hair has always been, so for me, hair has always been really fun. It's a way for me to express myself. I've never really enjoyed makeup, so I've always been like styling my friends' hair and stuff. And then when I cut my curtain bangs back in like 2017, people started reposting my photos. It became like, oh, the bangs. And then like, ever since then, it's kind of been a point of subject. I don't really know why. And like
especially on TikTok, right?
I know, now it's a lot on TikTok. Before it was Pinterest, but now it's a lot on TikTok. And I don't know why. And I'm so like, I blush and I'm so flattered, but it's like, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I've seen like people, I was just doing some research yesterday and saw, people are obsessed. They do like recreation tutorials. It's like a cult.
It is
following.
a very sweet cult.
It's amazing. And for other advice, circling back to where we started, kind of, what do you have to say to, teenage Matilda, or let's say 18 years old Matilda, not only in business, but like life in general? What are some things that you wished you'd heard?
It's a really deep question. What would you say to yourself, not to me, when I was 18?
To me? I would have said, you don't need all the answers.
Oh.
I think.
That's a good one. Mm-hmm. That's a good one. And I think maybe a little bit the same, and also like you'll find a time in your life where you feel like you belong. Because I feel like me growing up in the teenage years, I always felt like I never felt like I belonged. I always felt kind of like misplaced, like in high school and in like middle school, elementary school, like all the time. So I think maybe I would tell myself that like you will find your place eventually.
Life is long. Life is not only the teenage years.
Exactly.
It's going to be more happening.
Exactly. Yeah. That's deep.
Yeah, it is. But I think it's true.
It is true.
And I don't think there is a thing such as a cliche. I don't think cliches exist.
That's good, because I have a lot of cliches.
What tips do you have to share to somebody who wants to succeed with their social media career today?
I would say find your own voice. Like, what is it that I feel like nowadays, like you have to have a purpose. Like, why do you do what you do? I feel like back in the days you could just like post photos when you were traveling, like heavily edited photos. I think that nowadays people want the authenticity and the genuine side of you. And if you don't show that, I think in the long run, it's not going to be a channel that will grow. Because I think that people are very tired of the fakeness that social media once was. If you
Finding your own voice.
I think so. And then always being genuine. Like, do what you love. And if you do what you love, it's going to be fun. If you don't love what you do, it's not going to be fun and you're not going to want to do it. And I think that if you're always like tuning into yourself and you're doing it because you want to, that's the most important thing. Because there will always be people to tell you, oh, do this to grow, or do this. You like work with these brands. Like, make sure it feels good in your gut. Like, always follow your gut. Cliche.
Wise words. Not a cliche.
No. I'm gonna run with that. There's no cliches in the world.
No. I don't think that word even exists.
I don't think so either. If we look it up in the dictionary, it's not gonna be there.
No, it's not. I love personal development. I love learning from people, like smart things that I've never really, thought about myself sometimes. But do you have like a life hack? Do you have like things in your everyday that are just, that are, making life a little bit better? It can be anything.
I don't know. You're putting me on the spot. Rasmus, do I? Tell me one of yours, so maybe I'll get.
Mine, I think, actually, like traveling for me is a life hack.
Oh.
Because when I'm put in new environments, I'm thinking differently.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I just realized the life hack, if that's the vibe.
Yeah.
Walking to and from work as much as I can, that's a life hack for me, because that's a moment where I get to just like disconnect. I get fresh air. I get to also like, I see different people, like that inspires me. And I also like it's just a time for me to enjoy the fresh air, the stillness, and also walking to work when the city's asleep. We usually like being at the office at 7. So then we'll walk
at the office at 7. And
as much as I can.
To the office.
Yeah, it takes like 30 minutes. So I walk from home at like 6:30.
When do you wake up in the morning?
Like 5.
That's a life hack.
Yeah, I'm a morning person.
Okay,
yeah,
wow.
Being a morning person is a life hack. It's amazing. First of all, I love being awake when the city's asleep.
Do you get enough sleep?
Yes, I think so. I hope so.
You take a siesta?
No, I wish. Oh my God, imagine me just sleeping on the couch a little bit. I have done that a couple of times. So I've closed the doors to my office.
No, we were 20 people. Okay. In your office, not here. All right.
Not in here, in my office. But no, waking up in the morning, like me time, that's essential for me.
5 a.m. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I love it. I wish I could do that.
You just need to
I've tried so many times.
Really?
I can't go to bed early enough in the night.
Oh, well, that is true. I feel like there is such a thing as like morning and night people. Rasmus is a night person. So that has always like messed up our schedule a little bit.
Yeah. Lastly, I think this is really interesting, and somebody actually sent this in as a question. What's your favorite song, and how does it make you feel?
Rebecca's just laughing at me.
If it's a guilty pleasure, it's even better, I think.
Well, the thing is, I have 5 different versions of me when it comes to music. I love country music.
It's so
love
interesting.
it.
There's so many people who love country music that I didn't know.
I love it. For our wedding, I want Thomas Rhett to fly in and sing Die a Happy Man. If he doesn't, I'm not going to get married. It's like that level. But right now, my favorite song right now is Bad Bunny. I can't pronounce it. Like Ojitos Lindos, something like that.
I actually don't know it.
Oh my God, it's so good. Whenever I put it on, I'm like, it just like puts me in a
Is it
mood.
Friday vibe or what's the vibe?
No, it's like a little chill, but still like a little Friday. It's like every single day of the week vibe.
It's that good.
Yeah, it's so good.
And
I want to learn Spanish right now. That's why I'm like only listening to Spanish music.
oh, okay. You should maybe you should translate your all your YouTube videos, like all your videos you've done into Spanish.
Spanish.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah, because you already have the content, so you can dub it yourself.
Because right now I'm like watching music videos in Spanish, but it's really like, like naughty words. So like that's not the Spanish I want to learn. So maybe that's better.
Yeah. What's the best compliment you ever received?
I think yesterday my sister told me that I care so deeply for every single person and that shows. And I think that's like one of the best compliments.
That's a very real one.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I don't really care about compliments for my appearance. Like I'd rather hear, wow, your heart is so big, or, you make me feel safe. Like those kind of compliments have really, like those have stuck with me.
Who said that? Your sister?
Yeah.
How many
Shout out
sisters?
to Amanda.
Shout out Amanda.
Amanda is my older sister, and then Adrian is my older brother.
You're the youngest, like me.
Yeah.
Okay. What's next from here? Now, what's happening in Matilda's and Rasmus' lives, and Djerf Avenue's lives?
I mean, we're growing, which we're so excited about. We're launching.
But you're excited about holiday too.
I'm really excited about holiday. I would love myself, even just the weekend.
Yeah.
But as like for Djerf Avenue, we're growing. We're really excited. Our new website is launching. Our resale page is launching, where our customers will be able to like resell their Djerf Avenue items.
That's cool. So they're kind of like selling it back to you, and then you
Selling it to like customers. Like
if
I have a blazer and I want to sell it, I can sell it to you on our Djerf Avenue resell.
So your own marketplace for customers.
So it's like
That's
a
cool.
safe space for them to shop from each other, and so the prices like doesn't increase a lot. We've had some items from ours that people have posted on like Depop and stuff for a crazy price that I do not stand behind. So I wanted to give them that. And then we're working on a new project, a new category that is really, really exciting. And that is something that I'm passionate about and something that a lot of people like. So
Can we get a sneak peek?
I feel like we've talked about this subject in the interview. So
Okay.
if you're good at
Got it.
connecting Easter eggs, then
Connect the dots.
yeah.
All right. Will you make a move to the US?
Part-time, I feel like, would be a thing. Full-time, no. I love Sweden. I love living here. I love my office here. I love my team here. But I also want to take care of our US team. So
Awesome. Guys, thanks so much for watching and listening to today's episode with Matilda
Thank you.
Djerf, the best.
Thank you for
And
having me.
Matilda, thanks for having me here in the Djerf Avenue office.
you're always welcome.